All right, welcome everybody. This is our first Facebook Live edition of Let's Talk About It with your hosts, Misti Gaither and Jeffrey Palmquist. We are here in the beautiful and quirky Museum of Bad Taste with our host, Sam Mulvaney.
That would be me.
Thank you, Sam. All right. Have a wonderful and distinguished panel of guests. We have Frank Perez.
Right there.
Right. Southern Decadence Grand Marshal, I believe, number 44.
That's right.
And we also have with the LGBTQ Community Center of New Orleans, we have Vice President Sable Switch and President Saria Sinclair Jackson. And we have the Developmental Director of Crescent Care, Rodney DeLeon.
You said it right.
I've said everybody's names right this morning. Thank you. And my partner in crime, Jeffrey Palmquist.
That would be her.
Good morning, everybody.
All right. So maybe. Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So today we are doing the wanting to discuss what's going on with New Orleans Pride. Why that there's issues. Kind of get everybody maybe in the loop who has been out of the loop. There's so many opinions and theories and suggestions and I don't know, conspiracy theories, and was it D.W. Cooper, was it this, was it that, I don't know. But I tell you what, we are here and we're wanting to have an honest conversation with everybody here. And Frank Perez made the Facebook page, which is entitled, What Should Happen to New Orleans Pride? So Frank, what kind of initiated the thought for you to get that going?
Sure. I created the page after some internal issues caused the entire board, both boards, to resign. I don't know if many people are familiar, but Pride for the last 9 years has been controlled by what they call an executive board, which is a 3-person board, and then they each year name a public board. And after a very controversial post made by the executive president, the entire board resigned except for one person, his partner. And it just really, the post that said no politics really touched a nerve, and I think opened up a lot of raw nerves that had been, and issues and resentments and feelings and whatnot that had been percolating for a number of years. And one of the big problems was that that gentleman that made the post was unwilling to listen to anybody. And I remember at a board meeting last year that I had attended, not as a board member but as a Grand Marshal, that we need to listen to some of these criticisms and hear what they have to say. And he was pretty resistant to that. So I felt very strongly that a conversation needed to take place, that these voices that had been suppressed were heard, if for no other reason, just to put it out there and try to open it up and be transparent. So that's why I created the page.
And I mean, the momentum of the page just quickly grew. I mean, just like that, it was like at 500 likes and people sharing, and it just really just took a movement on its own, and a lot of comments, like I said, a lot of different opinions. To me, Pride has always been about, it's for the people. But if you're not representing all of the people, you can't make that claim anymore. So I think one of the things that's kind of brought this to the forefront is the lack of diversity that's been with Pride. Not just this year, not just last year, but several years. So can we learn from all this? Can we just try to take what's been made a mess and a mockery, and can we learn from it? And that's what we're here doing today, is seeing how that we could maybe come up with some pointers and some ways to move forward. Now we have Rodney. He's the developmental director of Crescent Care. And Rodney, what are your thoughts about everything?
Sure. Well, I think it happened at a juncture in history where you had Black Lives Matter movement going on, and that converged with Pride in a sense, that the inclusivity we knew was not there, And, you know, with Black Lives Matter, I think it just brought it to the forefront. And then when you try to post something on a page and say no political comments for Pride, something that grew out of anarchy, political comments, uprising against police brutality, it was the same thing that we experienced as LGBTQ people back then that is happening in the Black community today. So it's like for you to say no political comments where there are so many parallels in what's going on in the world today that just caused a furor in the community. And, you know, we all know that, you know, Pride over the years has been cis white gay men. You know, when you see it on the street, that's what you see represented. And that's not representative, certainly not of New Orleans at all, but really nowhere else in the country that has a big city. You know, maybe the small cornfields of Iowa, maybe, you know, the 3 gay people who were there.
I was raised
that
in
they
a
had a pride.
cornfield, okay?
Yeah. I was South Dakota right
It
next
really
door.
offended me
Yeah,
that you
we-
brought
we-
cornfields in the
Cornfields are
All right, I just want to, okay, go ahead what you were saying.
No, but I just think that convergence, it was time, you know, and it was the right perfect storm of things happening that brought this to the forefront and to a head.
And I agree with that because, like you said, it was the perfect storm. And I think with the Black Lives Matter, I think this has given so many people a voice that maybe were kind of reluctant before to say anything or say, you know what, I don't feel included. I don't feel like I'm a part of my own community.
Yep.
And I think that it really kind of bonded people together in a way, and you know, for people to stand up and say, you know what, we're not accepting the normal anymore. All right, so
one of the,
yes,
I think one of the best examples somebody explained to me is, you know, when somebody was upset about the, you know, why can't they say all lives matter? And I said they can say that, but it's similar to a fire truck responding to a fire in a cul-de-sac. There are several homes there, but there's only one on fire. And that's the one we need to focus on right now.
Sure.
I thought that was a good example.
Well, it is a good example, and someone also used like the Boston Marathon when that happened. You know, people said, you know, let's reach out to Boston. People didn't say, well, all cities matter.
Right.
It's like,
right.
why are we taking care of Boston?
Right.
All cities matter.
Yeah, they
So,
do.
yeah.
You know, all those houses matter, all the cities matter, but
Right.
at this point, there's one on fire that
Yeah.
we need to concentrate on.
And it had been like Hurricane Katrina that was saying that, you know, well, let's not focus on New Orleans because everywhere
All
else
cities
matters,
matter,
you know,
right, right.
But we need to bring New Orleans back, and that's what the Black community is saying. We need to uplift them right now.
Yep, that's where we need to concentrate.
Okay, so we have with us, with the LGBTQ Community Center of New Orleans, we have Vice President Sable Switch in
Saria.
Sorry,
You got it
I'm
right
from the
the first
country.
time.
I know, but then I was thinking, you know, in my mind, Saria.
Saria.
Yes, I'm just gonna say Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson, right? I'm gonna say Miss Jackson that way, you know. But you know, for a while, the LGBTQ Community Center was a solicitor of Pride.
From my understanding, yes, it was.
Years ago. The community center basically started, I think it was in 1992,
Correct.
and it was a place for people to go for resources, for help, for everything. And I really want to talk to y'all about how, like, what is your opinion, what kind of happened over the years about the support? Because I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of soul searching. And about how we have failed as a community about helping out. So what are y'all's opinions and thoughts about that?
Professionally, I think the leadership, it was always a cohort of people that supported the center. And when I say that, it was like a selective few. Once the leadership was there, they gained their support from their friends. And when there was a tiff or there was some type of internal issues, the leader would leave, those people would follow that leader, and then the center would be set by itself. And when things would go according to certain leaderships, the dynamics always change. And therefore, if I say, oh, I'm not messing with the center because of such and such person, then you're going to follow me as a friend and be loyal to me, and be loyal to me and my leadership, and we're going to go start our own thing. And I think that's what has happened over the years. Because the leadership has changed, it has transitioned. I've never met no one but the leader prior to me. The president prior to me is the only president that I'm aware of that ran the center. I did my research. I've tried to mend and rebuild burnt bridges. The doors have been slammed in my face because ultimately the rapport or the reputation is not about the space itself. It's about the people.
Mm-hmm.
And the people want to turn their back on people when they're not noticing that they're truly turning their back on community. My standpoint, I've always come from a place of community. And I've always wanted to help from community. I come from development programs, facilitating programs with the CDC interventions, and then I branched off into substance abuse because I thought that was a great need for that in our community. I've always wanted to give back. When I got this opportunity, I saw what the structure was like. I really wanted to change the infrastructure, but I knew I needed the support. I wasn't a part of high LGBT society here in New Orleans, and that was an issue. It was an issue trying to get into those doors. I truly represent two sectors of the LGBT community. Not only am I a trans woman of color, but I'm also an entertainer. Mm-hmm. And with that, I thought me being an entertainer was smooth over to help me talk about politics. But community, if you are hired as an entertainer, they only want to see your entertainment. Mm-hmm. They don't want to talk about politics with you. Mm-hmm. They don't want to talk about change and creating change. Because they only want to see what you can do on stage. Other than that, here go your dollar, girl, that's it. They don't want to have no real meaningful conversation. So the drag community, when they try to start a platform, it's really difficult because the people that are sitting at the tables making decisions for them and their community, they're never a part of that community.
They're not a part of it. Never taken serious.
Not seriously, right. And never hearing their voice.
Right. They just look at the entertainer aspect.
Exactly.
Of it. Mm-hmm.
And so that was another issue within, us trying to develop the center. Either they saw me as an entertainer and they only knew me as an entertainer, or they knew me as the businesswoman and said, well, she only focused on HIV prevention, education, and policy, and now this new substance abuse issue.
Saria, when did you?
And somebody's trying to call you in the middle of this.
I'm telling you.
Always.
I'm going to be a little more blunt than Saria and say I think you touched it on the head, but you were more diplomatic. It's not sexy to be about community, right? That's just the reality. The Pride Parade is sexy. It's fun. It's, there's a lot of pageantry.
It's the flash.
It's the flash. And helping that 14-year-old kid who just got kicked out of the house try to figure out how they're going to live their life is not flashy, is not sexy, it's heartbreaking. And so I think there's a lot of people in the community who they don't want to think about that. They want to just, I had my hardship, I got past it, I want to move on. But the reality is we have to think about it. We have to be the hand up. It doesn't have to be hard. Just because your history and your past was difficult doesn't mean that next generation coming up has to get their lumps. And not only that, but also not just our youth, but our queer elders. Like, they 100% need us. And, I think it's really hard for me to talk about this because like I said, I think it's really heartbreaking, and I would love to see our community come together with, if you have resources, and when I say resources, I don't just mean this, this is great. But, like Saria has crisis, training and things like that. We need that support. We need leaders to come forward. We've got a lot of people that want to help out, but what we really need is people to stand up, be a leader, and like she said, bring your people with you and make a difference. And I think that's, to your original question, Misti, that's what it comes back to, is it's not the fun gaze when you talk about doing that kind of work. And the reality is we need to honor our past, and we need to honor our future, and we need to start investing.
Into our, start investing to our future. Mm-hmm. We need to understand that the present state that we're in, that we're truly doing a disservice to community.
Yeah, you made a really good point about how that pride is, how it just kind of developed here in New Orleans, like kind of as a big fun, which is nothing wrong with that.
It's not just
but
New
like
Orleans,
a flash.
let's be clear. It's not just New
No, but I
Orleans.
want to address just here right now because
Yeah.
it kind of developed into more of a show, and so for one time a year, in my opinion, Pride would get together and put on a great show for everybody. But my question is, where are you the rest of the year?
Right.
Pride is about, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people, and I don't know I'm being so politically correct to say in my opinion because it's the way that I feel, but it's once a year, and it's easy to get, and you march and you hold the flag and you get and you're with your people and your organization, but when the dust settles, you leave it there. And what about the people that are in the community around you that don't have that chance, that needs that support year round, that we are not, as leaders in the community, that we're not giving to them? That's what bothers me,
And that's
because
why
it's
I left
easy
the
to
pride
point,
word.
and it's easy to point fingers and said, well, this one should have did this one, or this one should have said this one, or this should, and you know what? It's easy for us to make excuses and put it all on one person. But you know what? We said idly by while it happened.
Can I jump in, Misti?
You please.
Well,
I'm about to preach.
I think you just did.
Yeah. What I find interesting about what Sable said and what Misti said is that historically, the very first Pride organizers were in the late 1970s, and when they formed Gay Fest, which was a festival in '79, they had the first parade in 1980. The idea was to help raise money for a community center. So originally, those original organizers of Pride, the Pink Triangle Alliance, the Sissies in Struggle, Charlene Schneider, Mark Gonzalez, and Dick O'Connor, and those guys and ladies were community minded. And somehow, over the decades, it's gotten away from that to what Sable describes now as, just a sexy event. So I think that historically there is a connection, and I would personally like to see Pride kind of get back to its roots and do things throughout the year, maybe even.
Right. And also, what a point that I wanted to make at the beginning of the show, and I got so excited about being at Sam's lovely home and just hanging out with all you cool people. Today is the 24th. It's the 47th anniversary of the Upstairs Lounge fire, which happened in 1973. 32 lives were lost. Switch Kyle of the Crescent City Leatherman, they have all came together and have put together a wonderful tribute today at 9 a.m. and at 7 p.m. Yes, that's correct. And to show respect, to honor where at the corner of Charters and Iberville where it happened, it was where I think it's the Gemini Lounge now. And so if you can somehow go and show support for that wonderful organization that does a lot for our community, we would really appreciate it. And just take a time out today and just kind of reflect and remember those 32 lives.
I know Kyle was at Lafitte's the other day, and we were talking with Frank and I and Kyle. And one thing that he sent out a little, talking points. One of the things that I didn't realize, the Upstairs Lounge was one of the very few bars at the time that served African Americans, people of color.
And women.
And women, right, and women, absolutely.
People don't realize the bars in the early 70s, and for a long time thereafter, were segregated.
Yep.
Right.
There's still some places women can't go.
Right, but some of them do you really want to.
Point.
So, to get back to the topic at hand, I just wanted to kind of remind everybody about, how this occasion, this June the 24th, what it means to our community. And to get back, we have an opportunity now as a community. We can either let things go on as they were.
No.
Or, because you know what, some people are okay with that. And that's what's
That's
sad.
what's problematic.
Right, and
That's
that's
what's
what's sad.
problematic.
Or we can come together and say, you know what? We don't want this anymore. We're not going to be complacent. We're not going to let a bad apple run the bunch. We are going to stand up and say, you know what? No more. But we have to. A plan has to be made. A concrete plan. A plan that works for every single person. You know, we say no child left behind. But nobody in our community can be left behind anymore.
And that's my mindset. In a leadership position, I've always led with this thought. Agree to disagree, but don't stop or hold up progress.
Right.
And that's what our past leaders have done. They have held up the progress by not allowing to agree to disagree.
You're absolutely right.
And you know, if I don't see your point of view, but I see that it's going to have the greater good of the community, then therefore I'm going to make sure that I either abstain to vote, I either not, just abstain and not even vote at all, and let everyone else vote and let the majority rule, because it's about community.
I like that. I think there's just not enough of that anymore. We will agree to disagree, but I don't hate you.
Yeah, I don't hate you.
I don't hate you.
It ain't, your point of view is valid to
Right,
you, and
right.
I understand that, and I'm gonna respect
And
that,
respect that,
and I'm
yeah.
moving forward. What we're lacking and what we've been lacking is compassion and that true village. When I came out way back when, that was a village of individuals, and I don't know if those individuals were aware how they were saving my life, how they were being instrumental in my life. I was homeless at a point in time. I even went through college. 2 months in college, I was homeless, sleeping out of my car. I remember sex work. I remember, having to do what needed to be done to survive.
Sure.
But I also was looked down upon by my peers in my own community. But they would not give me a place to stay. They would not give me money for food. They would not give me money to help for school or books or anything like that would really be meaningful to help further my career as a human being.
Right.
And you have to ask yourself, why is that?
That's the question. Why is the prejudice?
Why would anyone not want someone else to succeed?
Hurt
That's
hurt.
But they're not.
But let me tell you, you're talking about somebody that wouldn't give you a place to live.
Yeah.
But we have someone in our community that I don't think a lot of people really know about, or maybe the word hadn't got out, but I hope today to get that. Mariah Moore.
Of course.
Yeah.
She has raised funds and is raising funds, and you can go to her GoFundMe page, but the House of Tulip. I mean, do some research and find out what she is doing. She's providing.
I've never heard of that.
Well, you know what, Sam? When you put that phone down, I want you to go.
It's very new.
It's very new. It just started.
Yesterday.
And you know what? And we've got to get the word out, and because it's going to be a home for trans teens.
Transgender non-conforming individuals.
Exactly.
Emergency housing or housing assistance or transitional housing, from my understanding. I've known Mariah for quite some time. And I truly support all of their efforts, because it's not just one person, it's a team of them that have came together with wonderful brains, wonderful ideas that they wanted to implement into community here in New Orleans. We all see the need. We all see the need. If you go to Covenant House, you ask how many of those young LGBT folks feel comfortable in there.
Yeah.
You go to the shelters and think about a black trans woman or a trans woman, period. If she becomes homeless, they're trying to put her odds and arm in. They're trying to put her in a men's shelter.
Wow.
Yeah.
In 2020.
Right.
And if you happen to go to the women's mission, you have to be referred by Unity.
Wow.
And think about what that could do. It's the trauma, not from the staff, but the trauma from the other constituents that are living there. If she had another cisgender woman found out that I was of trans experience.
Sure.
In the same facility that she's in.
Well, that's really problematic. You and I
Yeah,
talked about that
that's
last night.
problematic, but it could be traumatizing for the black trans person or the trans person, period.
Yeah.
To go into that type of setting, trying to seek solace and trying to get their mind together to get their own place, to become self-sufficient, because that's what those developments are supposed to be for. Housing in those facilities are supposed to be transitional. Where they'll be able to get into a program to become self-sufficient. They're not supposed to be permanent.
Right. But you know, that's what, you know, is the difference. We have people who are stepping up.
Yeah.
And are not going, that, you know, you see a need, and what separates a leader from a follower is someone who will say, you know what, I want this and I need this to be done. I'm not going to wait on anyone else. We have a need, let's do it. And that's what I'm seeing now, arising from this cloud of negativity and selfishness is leaders in our community that are saying, we don't want this way anymore. And so I just, you know, ask our viewers to research, to see what's going on in your community. Don't stop just at one organization and be satisfied.
And don't stop just in June.
Thank you.
You know, keep going. Just because it's Pride Month, keep going.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I think for me, Pride, it should be a celebration.
Absolutely.
It should be a celebration of liberation and what we have accomplished throughout the
The
year.
year. Absolutely.
It shouldn't be that, oh, we're having a party today for all of us. When all throughout the year, we still have kids that are homeless. We still have trans women that are homeless and need shelter.
And trans
Being
men.
And that
murdered.
need, you know, being murdered.
Being murdered.
Don't have the education, that don't have access to quality education. We'll talk about the quality of life for all of us.
Sure.
Why leave me behind because you don't know me? Or you see me on Tulane Avenue, but you wouldn't stop see me and not stop and give me a couple of dollars to help me get the hell off of Tulane Avenue.
Sure.
I either say, what hotel you staying in, I can pay your hotel rent for the day.
Right.
It's simple shit like that, excuse my French, that will make a difference and give us, because we're talking about quality of life. Quality of life and is life changing in the mindset. If I knew Frank was going to help me, if Frank didn't know me and saw me and seen I was in distress and came to help me, you knew I knew that Frank was a friend.
Sure.
I remember when I was young, coming from the country, coming to New Orleans, there were two people I'll never forget. Well, three honors. Connie Marcel, Tanisha T.T. Thompson, and oh God, what's the Marcy Marcel.
Oh, yeah.
Marcy.
You know why I would never forget? They were known to be some of the best entertainers, because quote unquote, back in the day, Bourbon Street was the it girls, Rampart Street was the throwbacks, the whatever, you know, the misfits, and the, you know, drag community. Yeah. So, but our car got towed. Our car got towed on Rampart Street. I was about 17. And we would sit in the Footloose. Y'all know the Footloose?
Sure.
We sat in the Footloose and we
Sure.
were distraught. Me and my best friend were distraught. You know who came to our aid? Marcy Marcel, Connie Marcel. They had a 2 o'clock show. She said, y'all do the show and whatever y'all don't make on the tips, we'll give you the rest and get your car out of town.
Oh, wow.
That's
And
awesome.
we were two country bumpkins, one from Dillon Springs, one from Baton Rouge. And they saw that they made sure we got our ass home to bed to get to school. And it's people like that I remember, that I've always said, this is why I'm giving back to community.
Sure.
Those ladies saved our lives. We didn't have to go on Bourbon Street or go to the Roundup or go to the Double Play and try to find a trick to help us pay to get the car, to put ourselves in harm's way.
Yep.
Which a lot of us trans people do, put our bodies on the line to survive.
Sure. And the sad part about it is there are so many in the community, every one of us can do what these people did.
Yeah.
They didn't go out of they went out of their way, but they helped you, and it didn't cost them anything to help you. You know, do this show, take the tips, and we'll supplement that.
And
You
right
know-
now, I would add to that, they have the vision, or at least the cognizance, to realize the need right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
We didn't even tell them. We was just sitting there like, this is what we gonna do. They was like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
They came to us and asked us what's wrong.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the word that you keep bringing up, community. You know, come with unity. You know, community. You know, we can't have community just on one day of the year.
Yeah.
You know, and there are so many divisions within the LGBTQ community, and it shouldn't just be the L over here, the G over here, the T over here,
And
you
that's
know,
the
and so
problem.
forth, and
That's
that's
the
been a
problem.
problem.
Yeah,
It's
the
been a problem
segregation with
throughout.
it.
history.
I think there's some internalized transphobia, some internalized racism
Okay.
within our
Oh, please.
community.
Sure.
Jeff can tell you, I almost hit somebody at the bar the other day.
Oh my God.
Remember, what's his name, going off about trans? And
Yep.
and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
also our history, y'all. We were talking about this in the car. You know, all the way back to the 70s, the people that started the revolution, if you want to call it that, these were trans women of color. And yet, when we had these big events in New York City, they were shunned. You know, Sylvia, Marsha, they were not
Right.
included.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so this isn't new. This has been happening for a really long time, and we need to weed it out like a cancer. That's my opinion. You know, these are our ancestors, and we need to honor what they did for us, and then again, we need to honor the future as well.
Right. And not only they help you with the toe in the car,
Yeah.
but Marcy, Marcel, and Connie, they planted the seed in you
Yeah.
of that sense of community. And they didn't even probably know it at the time. And that's, you know, like, we, as leaders of the community, we have, you know, it's our purpose, our right to set that example.
Our duty.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the
That's
word I'm
our
looking for.
duty.
The
That's our
duty.
duty.
It's our duty. You won't, well, you know, I'm over this organization, so therefore I get this and that, and, you know, can say this and this and this.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're not willing to help someone else in our community and take a stand, then what is your position for? You know what? It's for you. It's not for our community to do better. It's for you to have that tact at the end of the name, just to say, hey, I'm the president or the vice president or whatever the hell that you are. That's what that's for. But when you are truly a leader in our community, we're all gonna know it. And there's some people in our community who are not leaders, who are pretending. And it's time to weed you out.
Misty, we're getting a lot of good comments on
Okay,
Facebook.
what's up?
And I want to, Gary Toulouse made a good question, a good statement. He says, it seems to me that Pride used to be more inclusive back in the day than it has been in the last few years. And I think that's a good thing to ponder.
Yeah,
You know,
it's true.
It seems like we were all together. What happened?
I mean, is that true though? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't.
I think a little bit, yeah.
Wait, what happened? What was the?
Gary Toulouse said, it seems to me Pride used to be more inclusive back in the day than it has in the last few years.
It's always been a girlfriend sisterhood, sorority, fraternity type issue.
Okay?
I'm not gonna fit. Because even when, and I'm gonna go back when Rip and Marshall was alive, and you know, those people that were grand marshals, those people, you know, they had their own set of individuals. They would come together and organize different things. And we respected them because of who they were in our community.
Okay.
So a lot of times, I'm gonna say this. Back then, if you worked on Rampart Street, you didn't work at Pride.
So that's kind of the division. I
Yeah,
think
that
we're
was
talking.
the
That's
Connie
just the
Marcel
division.
very seldom worked at Pride. Lisa Bowman worked at Pride.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna just be real. Lisa Bowman worked. Tanisha T.T. Thompson didn't work at Pride. She wasn't part of the Pride committee. So there has been always some type of segregation. Or
You
people
made
that were
a
left
comment
out.
early on that I thought was really interesting, and I agree with you. There's kind of like the elites,
Of course.
you know, and it's not necessarily race or gender or something, but you have the elites
Mhm.
over or up here,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the ones that don't feel like they fit into that.
They don't even know. It ain't that they don't feel. They allow them not to feel
Not
like they
to feel
belong.
that
You
way,
don't
right.
belong here.
How do we
Every-
change? How do we change that?
Because everyone needs to be at the table.
Everyone needs to be. on the
And
table.
when I say everyone, either someone to represent, or either have a town hall, a community forum, that we all sit and hear what the people have to say to get involved. I think when we plan the Pride Parade or when we plan events, open it up not only to, you know, the organizations and or to our major sponsors, but allow, you know, smaller organizations to be a part of it. Don't put no time limit, especially if they're LGBT-driven organizations.
Right.
Breakout should be leading. They should have a flow. They should have a walk regardless. Those things
Right.
should be reserved prior to. These are the people we want to see.
Right.
Right.
Our pride committee should come and say, we want to see, or we need to be,
Representative.
these representatives, we need breakout here, we need hop here, we need, these are the people we need here.
Yeah.
Terrell Fox is on this morning. Morning, Terrell.
Good morning, Carolyn.
Yes, she said, I think she's referring back to, it wasn't inclusive. She said, no, it was not. That's why we tried to create Black Pride.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Then we had to separate and have our own pride. I remember that. It was very vague for me because I was here for a period of time. I got here with 99 after college, and I was here to 2001. And then I left and moved to New York, and I didn't come back to 2015. So I have a long gaping gap of what happened here in New Orleans.
Sure.
Yeah.
And but Terrell was here. And she's someone that I tremendously look up to.
I think we all
She's
look up to
wonderful.
Terrell
I mean,
Lynn, yeah.
I think it was for Terrell Lynn and some of her constituents and her colleagues that I was a recipient of our Gay Appreciation Awards Lifetime Achievement Award.
In 2015, you won the Lifetime Achievement Award
Yes.
for Ambush Magazine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you, Terry. But but it's up to us. And when I say us, I mean everyone. Even the one that we don't think matters. If they can't make a donation towards what the efforts are, things still fucking matter. And that's what I think has been the issue.
Exactly.
That the people that can't give or that can't fundraise, they're dealing with issues of their own personal issues. If we can't help them, we're harming them.
It's a little convolution of, the statement of what do you bring to the table.
Exactly.
Just because I'm not bringing a bag full of money or another sponsor to the table
You have time.
doesn't mean that I don't have a voice at the table.
Right.
Yeah, and I think this new board should also have an internal. What did I say, Frank?
Like review.
No. Mentorship program.
Yeah.
I think
Every
Sure.
person that with the subcommittees, the individual that leads the subcommittee should have an assistant. That assistant should also be an apprentice. So therefore, you're mentoring them how to do what needs to be done, so that if you can't do the work, someone else also knows how to do it and knows how to do it in a way that we know how to get things done. Business is business.
Sure.
Mechanics is mechanics. A clock, it works on the inside and it needs every fucking part to move and work to be effective.
Right.
And there shouldn't be lifetime boards.
No, absolutely
Never.
not.
Never.
That's another problem.
Never.
Not just because of the inherent problems of it, but also you're just not going to be effective.
No.
There's a
I
burnout
agree.
factor, and so I think it's really important that there's terms and that
That's a
you
creativity factor.
Yeah.
You get new blood, you get new ideas, you get creativity, you get younger ideas, you can mesh younger and older ideas together.
That's why I think a mentorship program would be absolutely amazing, because there will be someone that come in that will lack a skill, but they want to know how
They
to
want to
do
learn
it.
how to do it, right?
And you
Why
also
would
don't
you
know,
give back
like,
to someone who wants to learn how to do what you're doing?
you also don't know what they have to bring to the table too.
Yeah.
Like you might be teaching them something, but they could be teaching you
something.
as well.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to our youth, like I feel like they have a lot to teach us, and
Do that.
and that's a huge demographic that is not usually at the table and should be, for sure. I'm passionate about youth, y'all. in case you
Yeah.
haven't-
Yeah,
That's good.
And I think
good.
that's
Somebody
one
has
of
to
the,
champion our
right, and I mean that's one of the key things that's needed in all this is passion.
Yeah.
If you do not believe and you do not feel with all your heart in what you are standing up for, then don't waste our time. There are plenty of other people that want to step up and do things, and I think some of them have been like pushed in the back and have maybe became kind of disillusioned, kind of burned out, kind of disheartened about where that they fit in. And it is up to us to be the ones to reach out and say, come on, we want you to be a part of our, to feel a part of our community. It's something just to show up for meetings. And it's something just to show up and when it's voting time or whatever. But if you do not have that feeling of inclusiveness, it don't matter.
And Misti leaders need that too. I mean, I just to be real, I know both Sri and I have suffered from a severe amount of disillusionment and burnout because we kind of have felt like we're banging our heads against a brick wall. Like we understand there's been issues that people have had, to Saria's point, with various iterations of the center in the past, but we all we can do is move forward. We can listen, we can acknowledge, but at some point, when are we going to move forward and start supporting that community? And so don't just necessarily support the up and coming, support what's in front of you and the leaders that are in front of you that are trying to do that work. And if you have something that you feel like can contribute, or hey, can we do this way? Don't just say, can we do this way? Because we get that a lot. Have y'all ever thought about, and it's like, yes, would you like to lead that? And then it's just
Right.
Like,
They
that's right.
disappear.
I do this like a lot of people that have a lot of issues but no solution.
Right.
Right.
And you're always going to deal with that in society. You're going to have you're going to have the armchair quarterbacks that got all the damn answers.
Yeah.
And talking behind you. You know, you
But they
just
don't
got
put-
they don't
they
put
put
no
finger.
effort. No effort.
And that that's what's been problematic. Oh, do y'all
Sure.
want to implement this? But no one wants to put in the work. And that's what we've all
Great,
volunteers.
great idea. Come and talk to us and tell us about that.
We're
Then
all
they won't do it.
volunteers. Our whole board is a volunteer board.
Yeah.
We all do the work because of passion for community
Yeah.
Right.
and keeping a space for people to feel safe.
So if, I suspect that a lot of our listeners, viewers this morning, have probably wondered what's been going on with the community center. I didn't even know there was a community center. What can they do to learn more?
Well, we have a website, www.lgbtccneworleans.org.
Repeat that again.
www.lgbtccneworleans.org. We have all of the upcoming events always posted there. Our history is posted there. We're very transparent of what we do.
including financials.
Yeah, and financials.
Yeah, I
as
noticed
well.
that y'all did,
Excellent.
y'all post.
Our financials are also posted. But most of the events that are held at the center are facilitated by our community members. So the community are the ones who are hosting events at present moment at the center. We are implementing a new program that is Team NOLA, which is Trans Equity Affirming Movement for our trans and gender non-conforming individuals. So 12-week sessions of training as well as support groups that are going to strategically be for our trans and gender non-conforming individuals. We're also looking into 2 support groups for individuals over the age of 25. If we notice, there's a lot of federal funds for individuals that are 18 to 24. When they age out of those programs and they have not become self-sufficient, they fall through a big gaping gap. And you see 25 to 30-year-olds that's still trying to find their way. And I think that is that's a big gap, look how, for 25 to 30, I have no support. Just last week, I was 24.
Yeah.
I was in the Covenant House. I got a part-time job that pays me minimum wage, which is $7.25 an hour. How can I find housing
Right.
with $7.25 an hour, and now it's time for me to get out of this place? They telling me I got to go. So there's a big gap that we need to start funneling funds and funneling resources to. Not only support so we can hear them and they can have a place now to talk and hear themselves, but give guidance, give tools, life skills.
Piece is so
That
huge.
mentorship piece is so huge.
That's
And
what
I
I would love to see
I think
us
that's
do.
like the key.
Yeah.
One of the keys to success is a mentorship, because how can you expect people to learn without showing them the way? And you have to lead by example, and people are good, hands-on and to show how to be a leader, to show how to be on the board, to show how to do this and that. And I think that it's time that we as a community, we can do Operation Clean Slate. Let the old be the old.
Yeah.
Let except Sam. Let the old
That's me.
right. Let the old be the old. What happened, whatever with the community center in the past, we have new leadership. It's time for us as a community to support it more. And so that and I cannot stress that enough. You want to see change, be a part of the change. Open your mind, and let's go forward from there. Jeff?
Yeah, one of our viewers, Mariah Moore,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what we're talking about, the House
yeah.
of Tulip, yeah.
Yeah, Mariah. Yeah, and we got to remember we're a little behind. What we're doing
A
here
little late.
happened a little while ago. But Mariah made a point. She said when you're told when you are told your ideas are too big and we're not ready for that. I think what she's referring to is like, when we said, bring your ideas, we want everybody involved, but you come and say, I want this, and it gets maybe poo-pooed or shot down. Maybe we could give her some advice what to do next.
It's not about that. She's already taken the initiative to making sure that
Exactly.
She
you
got
know, it's just that systemic underdevelopment, underserved. They don't want whomever she talks to. They don't want to support the effort because they don't see the need for that type of development for the community. They don't know the research. They've never done any research. If
Or
someone
it doesn't maybe fit into what they're thinking,
because I've made several proposals to several individuals here in the city for development and funding of development of programming. And a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't think that fit into the scheme of what our grant is for. Or maybe next year because it is too far-fetched for us.
So you
right
feel
now.
it falls on deaf ears.
And but it also not only falls on deaf ears, it falls on the ears of people that have the power to make change, but they already systemically mindset that this is all that they're going to do for this particular component.
Right.
It's a lack of vision, really.
It is a lack of vision, but it's a lack of compassion.
Yeah.
If we all knew that trans women, homeless trans women will be housed in a men's shelter, how many of us would donate to make sure, even 3 years ago, that there was a shelter, a housing development, transitional housing for trans women, and gender non-conforming folks? How many of us really would have?
Right.
In the community? How many of you even cared? When we saw the girl got brutally attacked under the bridge, there was a video that went viral of this black trans woman that was ran down with a gun up under the bridge. Did anybody care where she was going to eat or where did she have to stay? We see this, it's in our faces. And nobody really wants to tackle it. Is it too hard? Or are we just that inhumane mindset to not think of people as human, to make sure that they have shelter? Because we know that we are the black trans women or trans women have really been disproportionately, taken advantage of.
Good words from Terrellyn Fox. With the wisdom of our elders and the fortitude of the new generation, we can fight to live on. Never forget our mission.
That is
Yeah,
so
I
true.
agree. And to go back to what Mariah was saying and your point, we're right now in a culture of no. And so, I think that's what the challenge we struggle with is we get told no a lot, which means we have to pass that no on. And obviously there's work that we need to do to figure out how we can turn those no's at least into maybes. And not saying either of us are perfect and there isn't better ways to do it, but I think that's where the challenge is trying to find out how do you not keep passing that no down when you're continuously getting that.
Mariah said, she just put a note on there that says that's not what I mean. Maybe one of us can reach out to Mariah and kind of see where she's at with that. That's the way I took it. I'm sorry, Mariah, if I don't exactly know what you mean there. I thought that's what we were talking
The
about.
ideas were too big.
I don't know, we could ask her to clarify and just
Yeah,
go
exactly.
But Saria's made points of compassion, and compassion is what really is lacking. And I'm so far from the Catholic faith these days, but one of the sermons that I remember most from a Catholic priest came from a Jesuit priest who is down on Carondelet Street, Father Harry Thompson, and he ended one of his sermons with compassion, compassion, compassion. And it's like, when will we have compassion for people? Our just everyday people, even people on the street who are asking for money and asking for help. Sometimes you pass so many of those people by and it shows that there's such great need, but it's like, are we even looking at them as human? when you pass them by. You're forgetting that this is a person, that this is somebody who, had hopes and had dreams, and, that they couldn't be fulfilled because they didn't have the opportunities that we had. Or they didn't have the support systems that we had.
Absolutely.
And it's like, if you didn't have that support system when you got here, where would you be today?
I was thinking about that.
Where would you
people
be?
Say there were other people that saved my life, not even knowing that they saved my life.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
And those type of people don't even exist like Talk About It anymore. I hate to say it.
Right.
Because they have lost compassion for humankind.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
No.
I have enjoyed meeting with y'all today. So if anybody has some, final parting words that you would just like to share with everybody that's listening, this broadcast will be shared on different platforms, and I just hope that everybody gets what Jeff and I were trying to do, and that's to give more people a voice and opinions, and kind of bring to light what's going on in our community, and how you can either sit there and accept the things that are, or change and be better.
And please consider our platform. If y'all have something that we need to talk about, we do this
Right.
every Wednesday.
Right.
Get a hold of us. We'll do it again. That's exactly what it's for.
Amazing.
Let's talk about it.
Right, let's talk about it, and that's, not just the Lez part.
Well, the great thing too is from Frank's page, it has spawned some interest in the
Amazing.
community.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
From people who may not have been involved in Pride before.
Right.
And there's some groundswell of, one person in particular who stepped forward and, is trying to get Pride back off the ground and putting together a very inclusive board. So there are things in the works. So don't think that Pride is going away, because it's not.
Well, please post on that page. I don't have any desire to spearhead or take over or even be on the board of Pride. I'm just convinced that a conversation needs to take place, and I think the overwhelming response to that group I created proves my point. And it doesn't cost anything to listen.
Yeah.
Nope.
Exactly.
So we thank you for joining us, and be sure to join us again at 8 a.m. as we go live on Facebook again, which I'm really enjoying.
We had some
And
great reviews on that this morning. They like the new format.
they do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at that. Y'all
Sam
get
will
some
be here
snaps
next week.
next week.
Hey, y'all.
Right. So our new home, our new studio.
I'll be up this time.
Right. Our new studio, the Museum
7:30 is
of
kinda
Bad
early.
Taste, right? The Museum of Bad Taste. We really appreciate you, Sam, for having us.
Thank you so
to
much.
everyone. I can't wait to when I'm able to go back and read all the comments and stuff. But please share it. Please just get into the conversation, but don't just talk. Let's do something about it, okay? Y'all
Yes.
have a good day.
I agree. Thank you so much.